Hello dear friends, I'm glad to welcome everyone watching Sotnik-TV this moment. It's August 10th, 2019. Welcome everyone. It's 7 p.m. sharp in Moscow. We're accurate. Here in Vilnius it's also 7 p.m. The time is the same with Moscow for now. My policy was not to give any comments on the situation in Ukraine, but the events there have to do with Russia as well. The things going on there are the consequence of the devil aggression of my country. I'm the citizen of Russia, and that is the only reason I even dare to open my mouth talking something about Ukraine. Let me now address the elected president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky. Mr. President, for some reason you called Putin again. I don't know exactly what you wish to demonstrate with such proactive calls. I may be wrong, but as far as I see it, you're asking for communication, literally begging for peace. Your offer to make Russian TV channel is at least strange. That is similar to Soviet command organize a German radio instead of mobilizing the troops in 1941 to be able to broadcast counter-propaganda on the territory of Hitler Germany to convince the citizens there. Please understand, no peace treaty is possible with Putin. You deal with fascist monster from special services, having his people demoralized or stained with fascism over their heads. They won't uprise, and no broadcasting makes sense. Convincing is useless. They either share imperial values or stay in total moral and ethical outage. Dozens of thousands take part in protests. And after some struggle, even they decide that it would be better to leave for their good, to save their families and finally themselves. Until the Reich of Lubyanka exists, the only way to restrain it is armed resistance and increasing the military strength of Ukraine. Negotiating with Putin is negotiating with devil. He will trick you, use you and fool you. And the West notices you seeking the ways to make peace with Putin, not with Russia. They see you negotiate with Putin. The West will switch to the wave of reconciling, not Ukraine victory over the monster. It will switch to that with pleasure, as sissy Western politicians feel pretty comfortable about it. That means less sharp corners, and the sanctions can be cancelled from Kremlin as time passes. Those sanctions are not pleasant for the West as well. You call for peace with fascists is based on a false purpose. There's no peace with Satan. That treaty brings not peace, but death. That would be okay to end up with your political demise, Mr. President. But that will take the actual lives of Ukrainians. Instead of ceasing fire, you'll end up with new coffins. You already see those. You may not listen to me and my appeal, but I urge you to stop calling that Kremlin monster, as your calls only make him stronger. And that feels even inside Russia. In no case I'm discussing your actions. I'm not urging you to do this and not to do that. I'm just accentuating the fact. One can't communicate with imps, and Putin is an obvious imp. Whether he is a big or a small one, it doesn't matter. If you chat with him, you lose. Please forgive my emotionality and sharpness. But it's not about a good behavior in a charm school. It's about the lives of many people. And your political moves can make their tomorrow either come or not. And for now, we learn to live with daily catastrophe. The explosions by Achinsk seemed to be over. They began mine clearing and exploded again yesterday. The new victims. A couple of days ago, somewhere around Severodvinsk, a great Putin's wonder missile called Thunderbird exploded. The great bold leader of ours used to threaten the mankind with that thing, promising to make the rest of the people bold. So they decided to perform tests and see what that scary thing was, and what would happen should it take off. But it didn't work out. Something went wrong and it exploded right there on the ranch. The radiation level went sky high right away, and they had to use all the information jammers and alarms, so that no truth is discovered, as once it's discovered, they will have to pretend sad again, howling and lying that our heroes prevented global catastrophe. Let me quote, an unnamed source from Trump administration declared that now it's impossible either to confirm or to deny the accident with nuclear-powered cruise missile. At the same time, he showed a deep skepticism regarding the explanations given by Russian authorities. We keep monitoring Russia far north, but Moscow's assurance of nothing being wrong seems empty to us, the official said. That reminds us of the accident series that took place in Chernobyl, and makes one think whether Russian people's interests are more important for Kremlin than keeping the power. Jeffrey Lewis, the head of non-proliferation program in Eastern Asia for Middlebury International Research Institute, declared during his talk with Reuters that the satellite images of the catastrophe region indicate the failed Thunderbird missile deployment. According to the expert, in the village of Nyonoxa, Russia has constructed a copy of a range close to in Pankova in Uland archipelago. That is indicated by a special shelter located at the range that contains the nuclear missiles waiting for testing, the expert says. According to him, the same object could be noticed by Pankova. The source noticed that according to the automatic vessel identification system, Silver Mist tanker was present in the catastrophe region. The vessel specializes in nuclear material collection. You don't need such vessel for regular missile tests, Lewis said. You need it when lifting a nuclear propulsion system from the seabed. Silver Mist came to the White Sea region a month before the testing date. The obvious aim was to keep vessels away from the exclusion zone. What's important is that Silver Mist posted up within the exclusion zone. There's a reason. It indicates that Russian military initially planned the operation of lifting the nuclear system from the seabed, Lewis said. End of quote. By the way, it remains unclear what was that faulty gale force wind warning. On August 8th night, it interrupted the federal TV broadcasting in Moscow and in Severodvinsk, by the way. They wouldn't just show that warning between the shows, they would show that non-stop. What was that text that looked more like a code for those aware? It might be me exaggerating again, but let us be twice shy not to end up with another Chernobyl. You'll be surprised, but even the absolute Putin man Andrei Karaulov spoke out. Let me quote his crying. Here goes. So that is the result. Dwina Gulf is totally closed starting yesterday. That means that the nuclear explosion of Thunderbird missile produced by Novator polluted a huge part of Northern Sea. That's why Dwina Gulf is closed today and all the vessels are taken out of there, including the fishing boats. All that huge radiation will transfer to Barents Sea. That is a real national tragedy. And the question is, if anyone has declared that starting yesterday fishing is banned in the Northern Sea and Barents Sea ban is coming, that we received the Russian Fukushima today, that dozens of thousands of fishermen will now lose their jobs. And not only the fishermen. Dwina Gulf, northern Dwina mouth and a huge part of the Northern Sea shore became a zone starting yesterday. Tarkovsky would call it zone in his movie Stalker. I may not know something, but are they planning a national statement of the chief sanitary officer, defense minister, president envoying North or the president himself? The entire world stood up. Yesterday we named the blown used cruise missile Thunderbird. And now the whole world knows the name. And the only silent place is here. It's silent again. End of Karulov's quote. Let me explain what all that means. That is the payment for the nuclear blackmailing of the great arm racer Putin. That is the price of silence of Russians and the circle of the mad dictator. That is the price of showing off and the madness of military and special service officials, of all those Gerasimovs, the strategists, and Patrushevs with a nuclear shroom growing up inside their heads, and their ideas of applying the nuclear weapons first. So they're applying. It's their territory for now, as the Wonder missile didn't fly anywhere. Remember a few streams ago me saying that Putinism was dangerous for the world with its technological disasters. The consequences of those disasters will be payback for the entire mankind. Europe, the US and the entire world will pay for those games with Putin. Please forgive my self-quote, but it illustrates the ongoing events precisely. You were taking a sheet for a plasticine or a clay for too long, and finally you ended up with abomination. Thank you for watching our channel. Tomorrow 1 p.m. see my report from Vilnius. 7 p.m. tomorrow, see what Western countries say about Russia. Make sure to watch it, as it is an interesting program. And on Monday we keep working as hard as usually. So don't miss our programs. We work for you and thank you for liking our videos, trying to get those to trends. I hope that this video will get to trends as well. Thank you for helping us with your finances. The times are hard, and we need to advance to a new technical level. I really hope that this or maybe the next year we'll try to advance to a higher technical level, which you will sure notice right away. So thank you for the financial help, being active and watching Sotnik-TV. As usually we work for you and we'll keep on working. Take care of yourselves, please, as severe and I would say flaming times have come. Take care of yourselves, of your close ones, of your hearts and souls. We'll meet in 1 week. Goodbye.